Hey, what's up? It's been a little while since I've had some updates on the 40, so I've been working on stuff, mostly wiring, which is super fun, and also working on the engine bay, kind of getting stuff more organized, cleaned up. Dizzy is fully installed now and working. I had another Dizzy that was around. Yeah, that would be this thing here. And it is now marked as parts only because it doesn't work. I ordered an actual Toyota Dizzy with points and it's working much better. It's just working, which is great. Also just realized, sorry, my coil mount is on the way. There's the coil. We'll get that mounted up. And then on the other side here, I did get some new headlights installed, which are really nice, but they're not working. I am really worried that when I originally hooked up some wiring, I shorted something and now they're not turning on. So, not sure what's going on there. Carb, mostly installed. I've got some ghetto long bolts, take up some space, and still missing a bolt for this little heat shield. I just went through and retorqued the head bolts because if you're wondering where this cable goes, it actually goes to here, and I've got a block heater. And so this is actually nice and warm, even though I'm cold. So pretty psyched about that. It actually makes working on the car in here kind of tolerable. There's like a little heat source. It's like kind of working next to a fire, sort of. Let me grab a light though, because I had to clean up a bunch, not a bunch, but quite a bit of coolant. You might be able to kind of see, maybe if I punch in here, you might be able to see what a reminiscence of some coolant streaks. There you go, that I've run down. And that was because the head was actually leaking. You can kind of see it's actually a little bit moist around here. So I went through and re-snugged up some head bolts because I'm hoping that was the only issue there. Alternator's mounted up. Be proud of me for this one. Look at that spacer. Yep, that's a bolt. But it works for now. So, good tension on there. You know what really caught my eye lately? I was watching that metal fan spin around, and I noticed there's been quite a few issues of the fan disintegrating and causing some problems. So I think I need to order a plastic fan, which I was hoping I didn't have to do, but it is what it is. So, oh, look at this. I actually have a little bit of coolant leak right there too. So the block heater's been pretty helpful for that. Figuring out where all my coolant leaks are. I have the exhaust sort of hooked up. It's a 3-flange on the 2F now, and I was on a two bolt flange. So I just have one hooked up for now, but it's setting up in there, and if we dive underneath, you can kind of see, I just kind of have it hanging up there with some wire for now. And it's enough to get it off the floor. And really my main goal has been to, oops, we got a garage monster. Hey! Hi, Tessie. My main goal has been to, just try and get rid of all of the stuff piled underneath the truck, because those have all been parts. And obviously, whoa, look at that, see? That's no bueno. Look at this. Coolant. Alright, we'll track that down. But, alright, anyway, the whole reason why I actually brought you guys out here today was to talk electrical and go over what I've been working on there. So let's do that. Okay, What's up? There we go. So I want to show you guys what was going on initially, and hopefully can make a little sense of all this. So let's get this. Number one, I have started to learn how to use this, which is a little light tester, and it's been very, very, very helpful for identifying power and for identifying grounds. It's been awesome. So to start, I'm actually just going to hook this up to ground. Have that there. And then next thing I'm going to do is battery is already hooked up. One of the main circuits on the truck, and I'm going to try and explain this the best as I can from what I've learned so far, is this white wire off of the positive side. Now, for me, on my ground side, I have this grounded to the frame over here, and then I grounded the block to the frame on this side. And this grounding wire needs cleaned up a little bit because it's obviously touching the header, which we don't want. This is my little mini fusible link. Not the appropriate one, but it's still working for now, I think. And then we have our white wire, which runs out. And then this white wire runs all the way through our harness. Okay, it runs through the firewall, through this grommet, and then if we're in the truck, it's going to be this hole right here. It's going to run in there, and it's going to run across the front, and then to the instrument cluster. And so here's our white wire again. This is going to run all the way across, and then over to our instrument cluster. Then on the back of our instrument cluster, this is going to connect to our ammeter. All right, and then off of the ammeter, we now have our blue and white, or white with blue, feels more appropriate. Okay, so white with blue, and then white with blue continues down and runs down to the fuse box. On my wiring harness, before it gets to the fuse box, it actually does a split here. Okay, I actually have three wires. All right, one of those wires should continue on. That's this one right here. This wire will continue on and go to our alternator. So if you can imagine this side of the harness here, when it comes out through this grommet. Okay, and if we're on this side of looking at it this way, you got your fuse block will be mounted here, and then I know that's really dark, but the rest of the wiring would come out and up, exit through the firewall here, and then that white with blue would go to the alternator here. Okay. Now my alternator, I don't think it's like a Toyota one or anything like that, so some of the connections on it are different. But we can get into that later. White and blue wire. Back to our junction here. Now the other part of this splits off. Okay, and this splits and goes up through the harness. This is going to go up our steering column. Okay, and this comes out at our switch. All right, so right here is our switch, which has been removed from the truck. And on the back side, we can see we have blue and white. Well, it's actually not blue and white on the switch, but it is blue with red stripe, black with white stripe, and then black with the yellow stripe. So I'm going to say that again because I think I screwed that all up. The blue and white wire, once we go from our junction, comes back out to this junction here, which is on our steering column, and then this runs, and this is the opposite. This is the side of the switch, your on and off, your keyed switch. This is what sits inside the steering column, and your key comes in from this side and rotates this and makes the connections. And the connections here are blue with a red stripe, black with a yellow stripe, and then black with a red stripe. And then there's also the start, which is black with white. All right. So that goes there. And then lastly, the blue and white wire, or the white and blue wire, comes down. This is where it goes into our fuse block. It actually splits again, and then it goes to the fuse block. All right, and when we're at the fuse block, one side of it comes in here, and if you're paying attention and keeping up with me, and I'm doing a good job explaining, you shouldn't be surprised to see that there's a blue with red stripe here, a black with white stripe here, and a black with a yellow stripe here. Okay, this is our ignition. This black with white is our starter motor, and this blue with red is accessory. All right, and then next to that is our white with blue wire again. Now, if you remember from earlier episodes, I think I might have shown you that I could not hook up the ammeter without sparks flying. That was because this white with blue wire was incorrectly put on this side of the fuse block, providing power to all of these things over here when it shouldn't have been. So, after some research, I figured out that was a problem and not correct. And so now this is appropriately applying power the way it should be. And now we can actually start to get into, so now I want to get into a little bit of testing and actually show you guys what's going on here. So hopefully it'll make a little bit more sense. All right, so remember, key's off position right now. All right, so what I'm gonna do is drag this over here with me. And we've got our keys. Keys are here. I'm just gonna use that, I'll show you. All right, and so with this grounded, first thing I'm gonna do is just check that it's functioning properly. You might not see that, but it has a red light on, and that's what we want. We know it's working correctly before I test any circuits. Now, the next thing I'm gonna check here is that we have power from our blue and white wire. And then if I jump over to this one, we also have power here on our blue and white wire. This circuit here that this is connected to is the headlights. This red power wire here is what drives our headlights, I'm pretty sure, and runs across and connects. In fact, if we want to check that out, right here is actually the headlight connection. And there's our red wire right here. I can actually get power out of it if I stick this in here. All right, and this is our headlight switch. And so our headlight switch should be on, have power all the time. Something we can turn off and turn on regardless of what the status of the ignition is. All right, now the next thing I'm gonna do is work my way down the line here. Is we have accessory, we have our starter. That doesn't seem right. And our ignition, which should not be getting power right now, but it is. So I wonder if I left this. No, I did not. Well, that's bizarre. Well, darn it. Okay, so for whatever reason, when this is off, and this wire's not on, these all have power. That's weird. Maybe. But then once I hook this up, grounds out, we no longer have power there. All right, well, this is gonna be another confusing video maybe. So anyway, we have power here, no power on accessory, no power, well, a tiny little bit of power, I'm getting some pulsing. No power on the start, and then no power on the ignition. And now if I go ahead and turn this one notch forward, so I'm gonna take this key and just turn this one notch forward. Oops. there we go. One notch forward. Now I should have power at the accessory, and I do. And then if I go one more step, this switch is now on. I should have power, ignition, and start here. Okay. And I wonder why the starter actually has power. I don't feel like the ignition, I don't feel like the starter. Oh, these are both ignition, sorry. Okay, these are both ignition, which is why they have power. So I might have to go back and explain something away. And then the way I can actually prove that this is working properly is accessory has power. The key is in the on position. Accessory has power. Black and yellow has power. Black with red has power. And what doesn't have power is black with white. Okay? And black with white doesn't get power until we turn the key to start. And we can check that. Okay, coil's still cold. I'm having an issue with my coil getting hot without anything going on, so I don't know if the points are closed or something else at play. But the other thing that we can now check is, this is our starter. This is the line that goes from the keyed switch to our starter. And when I do this here and turn this to start, you can see that's the starter wire getting power, which is feeding the starter, electric starter, and cranking the engine over. So now we can turn this all to off. And we should be able to confirm that ignition no longer has power, accessory no longer has power. The only thing that has power is still just our wires here, and then obviously our switch over there. So that's been, helpful to kind of get sorted out. Hopefully that maybe helps you if you're also kind of trying to track some of these wires and see what's going on here. Okay, harness is off the truck. Little turn of events here. Not sure actually what I'm doing next, but just working up there was a bit painful, so I put it on the ground. And just tried to go through, look at a couple wires, and lay it out. I was actually trying to find some larger tubing stuff, but I couldn't find anything bigger than 1/2 inch. So might try and put this on a few sections after I install, but it's a temporary thing. But for now, we'll just gonna put this in. Maybe throw a few zip ties on there, add some junctions just to keep it together. But I just want to get this put back in and see if I can get a little something going. Also, just kind of mocked up the air cleaner. That looks pretty good. I'm not really sure how this whole junction goes together, how it's supposed to. But right now I just have some rubber gasket that's there. So that's what I have now. And that's the bottom. Doesn't really look like it's supposed to all fit together. Maybe it does. I don't know, it doesn't seem like it seals. Maybe it is sealing. I don't know, feels like there should be something more there. Maybe this wing nut just holds this hole down and it won't stop it from coming off. I don't know. But let's keep going. Oh, also, really exciting. Found a leak underneath the bottom. Yep. Right here, coolant. Or coolant just dripping out. So that's exciting. What else we got going on here? Oh, did a really horrible job here closing these vents off. Let's just skip over that. So, back to the harness. And I'm just going to try and tidy this up with a few zip ties. Alright, so in case you're wondering what it might look like to pull a harness through the truck, let me shed a little light on this sort of process and approach. Now, I don't know if this is the right way to do it, but this is how I've been doing it. And so if we look here, you can see this is where the instrument cluster goes. And what we'll try and do is actually right up behind here, you might be able to see, is where the wires actually go. Okay, so the long side of the harness, which is over here, all right, that side is the passenger side, and that will eventually get pulled up through the firewall over here on the right hand side of the truck, or passenger side. And then we have the rest of the wiring that hangs out on this side. So we have a shorter side to the harness that actually goes up through the firewall up here and goes down the driver's side. That's what contains our headlight, our the oil pressure sensor, and it includes the white and blue wire for the ammeter that should run to the alternator. That's on this side of the truck and runs up to the front. And I think I'm missing it on mine, but there's also should be a like a high-low beam something that should go on my side of the truck too that I'm missing, but that should also go on this side. So so what we're gonna do is, if you might be able to see, is there's a black circular item, and then right below it there's a couple of pin connectors. Those are actually going to get pulled up and then exit through where the instrument panel goes and come out through there. And that's kind of what we're going to work on next here. But yeah, just sort of a general overview on how I pull the harness through and how I seem to kind of get it to work. And then obviously our fuse panel is going to mount up right here. Right, then we'll do that next. So let's see if I can find a way to maybe film while I'm doing this. Alright, so I've got the instrument panel hooked up, got my white wire, my white and blue wire hooked up, I've got the radial pin hooked up in the back there, and then I've also got my fuse panel all installed, everything hooked up there. I'm gonna go ahead and I'll put the light switch on and just let it hang out here, even though that typically would mount up here. At least on mine, it's mounted here. Maybe it's supposed to be over there, but my wiring feels like it should be here. And then I just need to finish up running this side of the harness. So this side over here, I ran through, got my little grommet, tried to follow some of these. For these right here, to like repair them, if you will, I just took some shrink wrap, put it over top of it, shrunk it, and they have a nice feel to them. Got this wire, this is run over to, and again, most of this is temporary, just to make sure it works, runs, turns on, etc. Then I've got my wires run all down through here, nice and tidy, well, tidy-ish, not too tidy, but yeah, and we should probably tighten that. Yeah, and hooked up on there. So I had a bunch of extra green wire here for the turn signals. I don't remember having that much wire. And then coming off of here, I have a couple of extra items here. So this is what should go to the amp. It's the amp, the alternator. This is my white and blue wire. So that should go somewhere, I believe, probably directly to the alternator. White and green I've got sitting here. And then I have this, which actually I have labeled, this is the turn signal dimmer. And so I don't know if that is also related to this. I weirdly have this here, and when I use the turn signals, I can hear this thing clicking. So I'm not sure if this was somehow something extra that was wired in or not. I'm not really quite sure. But yeah, let's get started. Well, let's keep going on the other side here and get this side of the harness run. All right, well, I'm calling it a night. I've got this side of the harness put in, and I was pretty excited until I went to go hook up the power wire and the white wire here, and got a bunch of sparks. So I really thought all the diagnosing that I had done outside the truck had paid off, and that I knew what was going on. Apparently, I don't know what I'm doing. So, yeah, I'm just gonna call it a night and wrap it up, because, yeah, make me an offer. I'm kind of over it. All right, we're back out at the garage. I think this has been filmed over like 3 or 4 days here, but harness, I'm not able to hook up this wire, which is great. And the only reason I'm able to do that is actually because I removed the connection behind the instrument cluster for the ammeter, and just pulled it out. As soon as I pulled it out, I was able to go ahead and hook up this wire here without without any issues. So that's good. I don't know if anyone's noticed yet, but I did get some new headlights. So these are the LED, kind of, you know, a little more vintage, heritage kind of look. Sorry, I've got all my dirt bike gear everywhere here too. Air cleaners installed. Yeah, I have this little gasket situation here, which is apparently okay. So it's another little adapter ring, and then I have the air cleaner gasket. You can see it's kind of squishy, but yeah, it's on there. It feels like it's a good, decent fit. So yeah, happy with that. Prying eyes, little red tape. I just wanted to mark the high line for the fluid, because I had this weird feeling that I'm losing some. And see, it's kind of below already, I think. So yeah, a little concerned about that. But one thing at a time. So yeah, got the harness on this side installed, put in, which is great. We're actually gonna run around and hook up the white wire here, because I'll show you another issue that I'm having. And I can turn the headlights on for you too, which is kind of cool. But also, I mean, if you notice, there's a seat here now, which is amazing. I had this installed upside down, so I had the column underneath the V here. So when I hopped in it, I was like, why is there no room? Why is the steering wheel on my lap? That would be why. I had a whole little bit of an issue getting the shifter installed. I didn't have the truck in neutral when I took the gear shifter out, so I had to use a screwdriver to find neutral and then put it in. So that was a little thing, but one of the things, yeah, perfect. So we've got some gauge lights that come on if I pull it, and then I've got my lights that come on here in the back, which is great. And then I've also got my actual headlights that pop on, which is really awesome. So we can give that a little bit of a look. So yeah, actually I think they look really cool. I thought maybe for a second I had them installed upside down, but I was looking at pictures online and that's the way they seem to be installed. So so that's the way I think we're feeling pretty good about that. One of the issues I do have though is when I use my left turn signal. Oh, the car has to be on for that. On. I think I have like a weird ground or something. Because that's what's going on there, which is kind of weird. So it's not doing it on the other side, which is good. So sorry, I got some gear drying right here, but this side seems to be working fine, no flickering. So I think the first thing I should probably check are probably just the grounds and all that kind of good stuff, so we'll do that. But yeah, otherwise we can turn those all off. Got a couple parts in the mail to help me tidy this up a little bit more. I did end up ordering a new switch that I'll install in place of the original one that's on there, or the one that's on there. I don't know if that's original, but figured I'd also put a new switch on that. This is the bracket for the coil. So yeah, so we can go ahead and mount the coil up, which would be great, because right now the coil has just been floating around wherever I put it. Right now, yep, it's tucked in by here. So yeah, this should be nice. I'll put this little coil bracket in, and we'll get that installed. I don't think this will fit over here. No, it does not fit on this one. So yeah, no problem. Just we'll put it over here, just for now, and then once we get it working, we'll take this off and clean it up. Another new part, I got this, which is the exhaust flange, and I need a new exhaust. So this is going to allow the exhaust folks to have something to work from. So this flange will fit the bolt pattern that I feel like is a little bit unique. Doesn't look like a actual like three-way array. And then I ordered a new, I thought I was getting a new one of these. It's just a used one. I ordered it because I thought I couldn't find one to plug another hole up here. I pulled one of these out. Sorry, I pulled one of those out, and I was going to plug it because I thought I bought the right plug, but it didn't fit very well. So I ended up putting the original plug back in and then use this to fill it. Yeah, so that's about it. That's all I've got where I'm at right now. It's been a couple of days, kind of on and off. I know I'm not filming a lot of the actual process for how to install things or like how to take things apart or whatever that I'm working on. And most of that is due to the fact that probably 50% of that time I'm kind of fumbling through it myself, and I don't feel like it's going to be very helpful. And so I felt like just kind of doing an overview of what I did might be more informative or more entertaining, or maybe not entertaining, definitely not entertaining, but just at least more informative for folks who are kind of going through the same process, so they can kind of just see the larger, broader steps on more macro level than actually diving into each individual nut and bolt that I'm touching. I will have to pull the harness back out though. I did a bunch of multimeter testing, so I'm gonna have to pull the harness back out, at least for the front, and not clean up, but just protect the harness and stuff before I put it back. So that I might dive into, because I'm actually starting to feel a teeny bit confident with the wiring, at least on what wire does what and where they go. That part's feeling a little more familiar. So, all right, thanks for catching up. Thanks for checking out the project. I'll catch you later. Bye.